Brown was discussing in that episode. But let's move on to another extremely important topic. On March 29th, I talked to Bruce Levine about finding mental health. And specifically, we were talking in the context of Bruce's latest and then recent book, A Profession Without Reason, in which he was talking about alternative ways of exploring that concept of psychological health and finding mental health, and how maybe just simply prescribing another drug is not necessarily the way of achieving that mental health. We talked at great length about that in some degree of depth, but I did reach out to Bruce, who did provide this summary in response about that episode and what we talked about. He said, "The reaction from many people to A Profession Without Reason is that it has helped explain to them why their psychiatric treatment has been ineffective or even counterproductive, and what is actually helpful. One chapter that has drawn much interest is called Fear, which describes how Spinoza, 350 years ago, and many observers since then, have recognized that fear makes us irrational and even violent. The problem is that most psychiatrists and other mental health professionals routinely practice with legal and professional fears, and this fuels them to become control freaks, seeking illusory control with unscientific diagnoses and numbing treatments that often make matters worse. Furthermore, psychiatrists and other professionals are often dishonest about their fear, and this inauthenticity can create even more anxiety for already emotionally suffering people. So, what's helpful? Curiosity and compassion. The problem is that one is afraid, which is the case for many professionals. If one is afraid, one cannot be curious and compassionate. The root of much of our emotional suffering, including anxiety, depression, and substance abuse, is trauma, which requires healing. And only therapists without fear, who are curious and compassionate, can help the healing process. Emotional suffering often results in self-absorption, and professionals often exacerbate that self-absorption by a symptom control focus, absent of curiosity and compassion. In contrast, experiencing curiosity and compassion can naturally result in becoming less self-absorbed, having curiosity and compassion for others, and connecting with others and the world. To put it simply, fear-based psychiatry often takes emotional suffering patients who have been self-absorbed about their suffering and makes them even more self-absorbed, creating even more suffering. In contrast, helpers without fear, who are curious and compassionate, can help emotionally suffering people transcend their self-absorption, connect with others and the rest of life, and begin to experience joy and vitality. All right, thank you for that response, Bruce. And for people who are interested, check out that conversation. And in that conversation, of course, you will find in those show notes for that edition of Solutions Watch the link to A Profession Without Reason and some of the organizations that we were talking about that are exploring these alternative ways of finding mental health. All right, lots to say about that topic, but let's move right along. We are not even halfway through, guys. We're about a third.